So this one you built as a foretell deck, right? When I looked
Yes,
over it, I felt foretell being a very important mechanic here.
this definitely is the foretell version of it.
Yeah. Do you think it will be viable? Because we heard some talk about it maybe not being viable, but what do you feel?
I think that it has the cards that can make it a good archetype. I'm just not sure how fast is the format and how viable a controlish deck is. But I think that this deck is sort of like mixture of control and skies.
Okay, sure. Let's have a
And
look at it.
yeah, shall we start with the uncommons then?
We will. Clarion Spirit is the first one. It's a 2 mana, 1 colorless, 1 white spirit, 2/2. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So that's quite a
So
nice
yeah,
payoff.
I'm just not sure how good this card is. When I sort of looked at um, the build, I was thinking that this in this particular deck you can actually activate it more on the opponent's turn than on your own,
Mm-hmm.
because you can, for instance, you can play Iron Verdict for 1 mana and then Behold the Multiverse for 2 mana on their turn, get a 1/1 spirit token. So you kill something that attacks you, draw 2 cards, and you get a 1/1 spirit on as a reward. Or you can bounce something, kill something, and you can get this spirit. And hopefully, when you have Vega the Watcher, which is sort of key part of the whole deck,
Yep.
this is the way of getting those double spell synergies working, because you will draw a card for every foretell spell that you play. So that's how I think it should work. I don't know if it's going to be good in this deck, but it's just such a powerful card on its own that hopefully just the strength, just the power of it is enough to make it good.
Yep.
But it's not as good here as it is in black white.
Right. We liked it there a lot, right?
Up there is
G2.
just busted.
Right. But I agree with you. I think by foretelling spells, making them cheaper, you are definitely able to double spell, especially on the later turns. Let's say turn 4 and onwards.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, this is not to sort of make the aggro explosive start. This is
no.
more to, once you stabilize, to get those 1/1 spirits to start chipping damage to your
Chipping
opponent.
damage.
It's more like a grindy version of it than the aggro version of it.
Yeah, and they chump block fine as well. The tokens, in case that's a necessary thing. Next uncommon is the Valkyrie sword. We saw it yesterday in the red-white build, and I think here again it's a Veld
just
include.
a finisher, really. You always want to play it for 7 mana as the 6/5 vigilant angel.
Fully agree. Yeah.
And then if they somehow kill the angel, then you just like put it on your 1/1 spirit or your Augury Raven, and you start doing serious damage with it.
Yeah. I think if you ever get to a point in the game where you have to start playing out Valkyrie sword for 2 mana in this deck, something is going wrong.
You really want to keep your land drops. You have 2 Behold the Multiverse to draw your lands and to play them every single turn.
Yep. Agree. Next uncommon is the Nico Defies Destiny Saga. 3 mana saga, 1 white, a blue. 3 chapters again. First chapter, you gain 2 life for each foretold card you own in exile. So, based on the amount of cards you have foretold away, basically you gain 2 life for each of them. Second chapter, add 2 mana, 1 white, 1 blue. Spend this mana only to foretell cards or cast spells that have foretell. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to foretell them first, right?
No, you can just cast a spell. Yeah,
right. You can
2 free mana, which is okay.
Cast a spell from your hand that has the foretell mechanic. And then chapter 3 is return target card with foretell from your graveyard to your hand, which is well, card draw basically. Basically, it says draw a card.
Just before we dive into Nico Defies Destiny and their adventures in the saga, Jihash asks, is the whole cycle is based on kicking them? Yeah. So basically, all of those equipments, they cost some mana, and you can pay extras to bring a creature equipped with them to the battlefield. And most of them will be better to be played with the kicker. And probably, I think all of them should be played with kicker only, really. And maybe green one not, which brings a 1/1 elf.
Right, but yesterday we discussed about the white one in the red-white deck, and there we were both like, you're probably never going to kick it in this deck because you're playing like 16 lands, reaching 7 is pretty hard, and most likely you're
Yeah,
just
but I
going
mean,
to play that.
you still want to do it, but probably you will
Oh
never
yeah.
be able to.
Oh yeah, there's a difference
And there
between.
we also had a discount there because we had this 2/2 wind trick that makes artifacts cheaper, which makes it a 6 mana, which is a
Fair enough,
more
but
manageable thing. Yeah.
but still, I don't think they are unplayable if you have to play them out. You just
No,
rather.
that's a great flexibility. They're basically a split card, creature or just a equipment. The problem is that they all have slightly more expensive-ish equipment cost, which makes it. They basically have a sort of foretell, really, because you can foretell them and then equip your creature. You split the cost into 2, or if you have enough mana, you just play both of the costs at the same time, and you get an extra creature as a bonus. So yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, thanks for the question, Giash. Okay, Nico defies Destiny. Yeah, bring it on. What do you think?
I think so. I think it's not the turn 3 card, that's for sure, because before you play it, you want to really have something in your graveyard with foretell already.
Yeah, agree.
Because you don't want to risk that you don't manage to put anything in the graveyard, and unless you have a spell that you can always cast, and you don't want to play it. Also, you want to gain some life. I can see that, for instance, that you foretell on turn 2, foretell on turn 3, play Nico Defies Destiny on turn 4, and leave white mana for Iron Verdict, or leave blue mana for Depart the Realm. So you can play it on their turn and kill something or bounce something.
Yeah, for sure.
And then obviously next turn you get extra mana, which means that you can play some more things. You can foretell something. You can cast a foretell. Can you use it for foretelling actually?
Sorry, which one? This one? The second chapter?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can use the 2 mana to foretell something.
Only to foretell cards or cast spells that have foretell.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know if you can foretell, but you can also foretell things. That's good.
How do you call it? How do you call it when you play a card outside of the foretell zone? How would you call that?
I would call it casting because it's constant casting.
Fair enough.
You cast it from a foretell zone, I would say. Yeah.
Cast? Yeah, GH thinks cast as well. Yeah, it's like alternative casting cost. I would call it foretell, but that's very unhandy, right?
But this is something. No, foretelling, I would say it's removing them from the game and morphing them basically, and then from there you cast it. It can come up important because, for instance, if you play the Augury Raven from the foretell zone, they can still disdainful stroke it because it's still a 4 CMC casting spell, and you can just counter it.
Okay. Oh,
I think it's and then you hopefully will get something in your graveyard, and late in the game this is just pure value because you can get a spell back. And
yeah,
the problem is that if you're late in the game and you still have foretold cards, you might not gain any life because you probably already played them. So this card is perfect on like turn 4, turn 5, turn 6 maybe.
Agreed.
But not so great in the first 3 turns, and not so great when you draw it on the empty board and you need something to come from behind. So it's a good card in the parity, and when you're ahead, not so great when you're behind. Yeah.
Agree. You touched on Vega the Watcher a bit. Bird Spirit.
First of all, this picture is cute.
Oh yeah, one of the better arts, right? Again with the Viking ornaments, and then the owl. Yeah, it's great. Maybe
it
quickly.
Doesn't change how you play it.
No, but maybe quickly that is 3 mana Bird Spirit, 2/2, and it has 2 very interesting abilities. Not only is it a flyer, it also has, whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, draw a card.
Which in this particular case means when you play it from foretell zone. When you cast it from foretell zone.
Yeah.
Isn't true, Jihash? Cast it from foretell zone. Yes. So basically every spell that you foretold has a cantrip, and what can you say? If you have like 10 of those spells in your deck, which I think here you have like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's good enough.
Yeah.
Oh no, 10, 11. You have
10, 11. There's a fine density here. The tigers are also.
I mean, you will draw a lot of cards with that, and basically this is your plan. This deck wants to draw a lot of cards and bury them in card advantage. You don't have like super good finishers. You have the Valkyrie sword, and maybe the 3/6 cats can do that, and maybe you can do some damage with flyers. But if you draw 12 cards more than the opponent, you should be fine.
Yeah, fair enough. I think Vega is definitely a reason to be in this.
It's a shame that it doesn't have Foretell itself.
That is a missed
Because if it
opportunity.
had, then you could have brought it back with Nico Defies Destiny. That's the main thing I would see with this.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I think that's exactly the reason why they didn't give it Foretell, probably.
Yeah. Hey, I want more. I want more.
Let's see next. Oh, there's the rare. Maybe we can discuss Cosmos Rager. I like the
Yeah.
I like the fact you put it here. Busted, very great with Foretell.
It's think of like what was the elemental from Zendikar Rising?
I remember the one, the 5. The reminded me of Zeus. That's the one you mean, right?
No. From Zendikar Rising, the crappy one, the twister elemental.
Oh, the 5 mana 3/3 flyer flash thingy.
Yeah.
That was hardly playable.
That was 1 mana more for the same thing, and it didn't have any of the other excellent abilities. This card is just great. So it's basically a 4 mana flash flyer for 3/3 flyer. So Phantom Monster with flash, so strictly better Phantom Monster. Also, foretelling cards from your hand costs 1 less and can be done on any player's turn, which means that all your foretell spells are way cheaper than they were before, and that you can just exile them at the end of the turn when you have a mana left over. That's fine, and you can play them on your turn because they need to be foretold at least 1 turn earlier than you can play them.
Yeah. So maybe to get this straight, right? Foretell is an instant speed ability. You can do it whenever you hold priority, but you need to do it on your own turn normally, right?
Normally, you can only do it as a source. No, you can do it anytime, yes, but only on your turn. And now you can do it at any turn, and you can do it for 1 less. Yeah. So you foretell cards for 1 mana, which is great. So basically, if the Panther costs 6 mana and it costs 2 to foretell and 4 to cast from Foretell Zone, now it will just cost 1 to foretell, and you just need to pay 4 to cast it from Foretell Zone, so you get a 1 mana discount on it, which is great.
Yeah.
And definitely. Also, this one has Foretell, so you can get this one back with your Nico Defies Destiny if someone kills it.
Yeah, here there definitely is the synergy.
And yeah, again, because it has Foretell itself, you can do a couple of scenarios. You can foretell it on turn 2, and you can cast it on turn 3, blocking some 2/2 and eating it, and you start your turn with a 3/3 flyer. Or you can just wait for it, play it for 4 without foretelling it ever, and that's also fine. So, you have options there.
Yep. Inga Rune Eyes is the next one. 4 mana spell, 3 colors, 1 blue. Human wizard legendary creature. It's a 3/3. When she enters the battlefield, you scry 3. And when Inga dies, draw 3 cards if 3 or more creatures die this turn. So, first line of text, very similar to the wizard that we saw in Zendikar.
Yeah, it's a decent trade because you want to have some card selection in this type of deck. You draw it late, you fix your next 2 draws, you remove any lands if you don't need anymore, and you put gas on top, and hopefully you can find what you need. The second line,
right?
So basically, if an opponent attacks you, you can block Inga so that it trades, and then hopefully you can block something else and kill it, and you draw 3 cards, which means that this will almost never happen. But this is not a tragedy, because that means that the opponent has to be really careful about what they attack with.
Right, like what are you doing as an opponent here? With Inga out.
I don't want to be in that position ever, because when you think about it, they attack you with... You even have only Inga.
Right.
They have 2 creatures, a 3/3 and a 5/5. They attack you with both of them. You block
the 3/3
with Inga.
You kill the 5/5.
And you cast Iron Verdict
right.
on the 5/5. And what?
You draw 3 cards. You basically won the game.
Exactly.
Congratulations. Yeah.
So this card is going to be a very, very good... It's sort of like a propaganda almost, because they cannot really attack with everything, because then they either kill you or you draw 3 cards, which is at late stage of the game something that you will definitely abuse and make sure that they pay for it dearly.
Yeah.
So it makes it very, very complicated for them to attack into it. That's why I think it's a great card.
Fully agree. Fully agree. Last uncommon here is the Gates of Istval. It's the Azorius land. It's a white
It's a
tap
cloud
land.
reader, basically. It's a cloud reader on a land.
Yeah, you gain 2 life, draw 2
Was it
cards.
cloud reader or cloud chaser?
I can't help you out here.
It was from the Kaladesh remastered.
Then I
the
think it's
blue-white
Chase.
2/2 flyer. Yeah.
No,
Well, anyway, it just gains 2 life, draws 2 cards. This is something exactly that you want when you have too many lands and not enough cards in your hands. You're just going to do it. You're going to be super happy about it.
great ability.
That's it. I mean, it's the cost of it is almost zero because you in this particular deck you have 2 tapped lands which shouldn't interfere with your game plan. You shouldn't pay too much of a price for having them, and the upside is great. So yeah.
Fully agree. Fully agree. Maybe
Again, as with all those lands, the opportunity cost is very little and the reward is very good. I'm going to repeat myself a bit from yesterday, but I was not a big fan of MDFCs because they were always putting you in front of this tough decision. Am I going to play the land and then get flooded and then get angry that I didn't keep it as a spell? Or am I going to keep the land and it gets mana screwed and then be angry that I didn't play it as a land? And here I just don't have it. I just slam it on the board, and when I'm flooded, I'm just going to use it and get some kind of value from them, which is great.
yeah, fully agree. Less of a hard decision here, I think, and
Yeah.
more of a late game payoff.
And good, because this set doesn't need more tough decisions.
Right.
If anything, this set does not require any more complication.
Yep, agree. Wanna talk about some of the other spells that you included here? Any things that you wanna highlight? I noticed the I noticed the Mistwalker, for example, which is it's basically here for blocking, right? I assume.
No, it's for killing. I mean, it is for blocking initially, but it will kill.
Right.
I really like that creature because it's a 1/4. It blocks very well, but at a certain stage when you turn the corner, it becomes potentially a 4/1, and that ends the game quite quickly because it has flying.
Yep, agree.
So it's a very good dual purpose creature. Story Seekers are there purely because you want to gain some life and kill some early attackers, and they are great for that. They are purely disposable. They are not aggressive at all. They will be left behind and just block.
Yep.
Depart the Realm is good because it can bounce your stuff as well. This is the 2 mana bounce spell.
Yeah, it's a foretell spell as well. It helps you double spell.
I'm just watching the wrong screen, and I'm 15 seconds behind what's going on. So yeah.
Oh, you were watching our Twitch stream.
I was watching the. I have 2 windows because I want to see the chat as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss out on Jihash's questions.
I understand.
And I cannot drag my Discord window for some reason.
Hey, Dom.
Hey, Wisdom. AKA Dominic, AKA the Swiss Clockwork. Okay, you see, today I took your comments to heart, Dominic, and I am watching the chat, and I can answer all the questions live without getting reminders from Xander. But okay, so this is, you can use it quite well. For instance, if they kill your 4/4 angel, you can just bounce your Valkyrie sword and replay it and get another 4/4 angel. If your Nico Defies Destiny
That's spicy.
second, third ability goes on stack, you can just bounce it in response, and you can get your spell back, and you can replay the saga, and you can get the whole thing rolling again. So there's a couple of those little synergies that this card gives, and also it's a very useful tempo play that can slow down the opponent, and then you can develop your 3/6 cats to block them so they cannot do a lot of chip damage before you start developing proper defenses. So I think that this card is quite a useful role player with quite a lot of synergies.
Yep.
And I think that
not sure whether it's too cute. I mean, the examples that you mentioned with the Valkyrie sword and the Nico's Defies Destiny are pretty cute, right? I mean, as in, are they?
But cute is the name of the game. I mean, of course, 90% of the time you're just going to use it very simply and bouncing something that is useless and
getting removed or
stuff. But in this deck, you have so much card advantage that at a certain stage, the only problem that you have is not having something to kill them with, and the bouncing Valkyrie sword is a very viable strategy in there.
For sure. Agree.
So I would like to talk about the next one, the 1/3 wizard. I think that this one is quite useful if you can read it.
Yeah, the Carfell Harbinger. It's 2 mana, 1 generic, 1 blue. It's a zombie wizard, which is an interesting creature type, I think. It's a 1/3. It has a tap ability that says add 1 blue. Spend this mana only to foretell a card from your hand, or cast an instant or sorcery spell. So rather interesting restrictions there on how to spend the mana, right? So only to pay the 2 generic to foretell a card, or play an instant or sorcery spell.
But I think that it's a great card in this particular deck, because the fact that you can use this mana to foretell something, a 1/3 is not a great blocker most of the time. It can block some early stuff, but later it just becomes your extra land for foretelling purposes only, and it's going to work well. And it also can speed up the rate at which you can cast foretell spells. So for instance, play this turn 2. On turn 3, you foretell 2 cards. On turn 4, you foretell 1 card, play Nico Defies Destiny, and you gain 6 life, which is paying handsomely for the tempo that you lost by not developing your board. And then everything is cheaper. You can cast it. And if you foretell a couple of instants, you can also use the mana from this one to, for instance, block something and tap for 1 blue to Raven form something, which is a good rate.
Agree.
So I think that this really speeds up the potential for you to stabilize. And also it's nice that it gives you the 1 blue mana, because you can cast some of your spells using exclusively this if you're a bit short on blue and you have to do some double spelling.
Yeah, definitely.
And what else? I mean, Iron Verdict is great because it just you won't be attacking early and late. You don't care about removal because you hopefully gained enough advantage. So it's a great spell for doing that.
Yeah, I definitely like it in this deck, for sure. Key include, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Raven form is controversial because that's basically, what was that enchantment from Taros?
Yeah, I remember the one. The Frogify.
It's something like that. So it's a Birdify basically. This one is a Birdify, and I don't know if it's good enough, but it has Foretell and it costs 1 blue, which is great as a trick.
Right.
And hopefully you can deal with a 1/1 flyer. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think the deck would be able to do so. There are quite some flyers in it, right?
Of course, Augury Ravens are great. I mean, you don't have to. This is the same thing as with the 3/3 draw a card in green. You just put those in your blue decks because they are great.
Yeah, 4 mana 3/3 flyer is already great stat line, right? And then being able to foretell it is just great.
So I think the next one is, I think, the most important card in the deck. That's Behold the Multiverse, and probably you can play as many as 4 of them in the deck, because this, I think, will work very much like the kicker, green-blue kicker in Zendikar.
Yeah.
Where basically you have some strong later game cards, but you need to get there. And if you draw many cards, you can just double spell with 4 drops in turn 8 because you never missed a land drop, and that's how you win the game, by superior card advantage and then just by swamping them with everything. So I think that this is like one of the most important things that you do. And then we have our top of the mana curve, the Bergstrider. Our friend from yesterday, Bergstrider, straight from Netherlands.
Yeah, straight from the Netherlands.
The 4/4 Chillbringer. The more I look at it, the more I like it, because the 4/4 seems like a great stat line.
Yeah.
And a couple of snow lands, and most of the time you will be able to get at 5 lands, at least one of them on board. And this way you can guarantee that it works as a Chillbringer.
Yeah.
And I put the 2 Panthers because Panthers are almost impenetrable defenses for aggro decks, and you can just put it, and if they don't have a response to it, they're dead, aren't they?
They are. Notice that the Bergstrider is also a giant wizard. Pretty relevant.
Oh yeah, no. Bergstrider is a star of the giant deck.
Yeah.
I think
it's going to be interesting in the Izzet deck, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. So that's something to look at. What I would like to do is have a quick look at the foretell cards and see how many there are, and
as if you practiced.
Does it show?
Yeah.
I felt
Nothing wrong with practicing.
nothing wrong with practicing, right? At the white spells. Let's look at all the keywords, including well, a lot of combinations. Flash Flying Foretell, that's probably your rare among others. Flying Foretell, just Foretell is very common. We have a Foretell Scry one and a Foretell Vigilance one. Interesting but also logical is that the Foretell spells, they start at CMC 3 or more, because it's not really useful to foretell a 2 mana spell, right? So,
well, there is the bounce spell.
There is.
And that's probably one of the few things that can be foretold. Yeah, there's only one. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, this only looks at creatures. I can turn that off actually.
Okay. No. We want spells as well.
There we go.
Oh yeah, the mythic for 7 mana. That's actually an excellent card in this deck, but
which one is that?
Gain the extra turn. Make 2 birds and take an extra turn after this one.
Yeah, that's a playable card. I don't think it's great. You said it was great, right? I'm not on the great train. I think it's playable.
I was always a big fan of battle screeches, and if battle screeches give me extra turn, I'm fine with that. It would be probably bad if it didn't give you the 2 birds, because that would just mean draw an extra card. But the 2 birds are just something that you want to do anyway. You want to make those little flying things and just chip in for damage.
Yeah, I agree. GH has it as a B. I think I can.
A B is BB plus is something that I would probably want it to be on.
Yeah. I would rather.
I don't think it's a bomb. I just think it's a very, very solid
playable
in late game that sort of brings you closer to finishing the game, because it puts those little flyers and also gives you an extra card.
Yeah. And
or 2 if you have Vega.
I also heard people being higher on it than a B. Indeed, I don't think I'm higher on it than a B. I might even go B minus, but we'll see. We will see. Foretell cards have a pretty high tier score here as well, so that's above a C. And what I also like is that there's a pretty nice curve of Foretell cards, starting at 2, going all the way to 6 in common. Especially in the 2-drop slot, we have 4 different Foretell cards in these colors. There are also 2 uncommons. Thanks for the follow, Setrox, and thanks for joining. Feel free to join us in the chat as well if you have any questions. Anything else you want to say about this deck, Sierko?
Well, I think that there is a second one. I mean, we did the controlled version, and
right.
Maybe against my better judgment, I am a prolific aggro player, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to play the aggro version of this deck much more frequently. But I think that there's this sort of small flyers aggro deck with the very much like the skeleton of the green-white that we talked about yesterday, that is based on the Battlefield Raptors.
Yeah, on the Raptor.
But this time it's Battlefield Raptors, the 4 mana 3/2 flying angels that can be cast for 2 if you exile something from your graveyard. The Spirit Maker for double casting, a couple of the things that put +1/+1 counter, bounce to clear the path. Again, the Foretell, deal 5 to a tapped creature to remove things that are hitting you on the ground, so you can focus on killing your opponent. And this is kind of like a very, very tempo-focused ultra aggro deck with probably mana curve finishing somewhere at 4. So I think that that's another option. And you can still play Vega in it, because I think that you can still foretell a couple of some cards and get a couple of incremental draws. And this deck will definitely have something like +2/+2 enchantment if you can get, or a couple of the cheaper equipment. Maybe you can get a crown into it and a couple of runes to boost it.
Yep.
The only problem is, of course, that the blue rune is pretty useless when everything that you have is already flying.
It's already flying, yeah. But I think that's a dream,
the
right?
White rune is dope.
White rune is dope. Yeah, for sure. And there are no real like payoffs for that deck, right? I mean, it's definitely a deck you can build, and I think there are great cards for the deck, but there's nothing really that steers you towards that direction outside of the cards just being great, I think.
I think there's one big reward for that deck, and that is the +2/+1 for 5 mana, and you can foretell it and play for 3. Because if you have 3 flyers and you play that, you get at least 9 damage in. That usually ends the game after you did some early damage. So yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
And also, the reward is that probably most of those cards are not going to be high priority for anyone, so you can actually get quite a collection there.